At Bike Review Pro, we've followed the evolution of the Honda Africa Twin with admiration and enthusiasm. From its Dakar rally-inspired roots to its dependable reputation among global adventurers, the Africa Twin has always stood for ruggedness, reliability, and real-world practicality. That's why the launch of the 2026 model had so many riders excited, and equally why the backlash it's receiving is hard to ignore. In today's deep dive, we'll break down the decisions Honda made with the 2026 Africa Twin and why so many believe this could be the model's biggest misstep to date. Fuel tank shrink, a strange move for an adventure bike. One of the most puzzling and criticized changes in the 2026 Africa Twin is the reduction in fuel tank capacity. Honda shaved off nearly 2 liters from the previous generation, claiming the change improves maneuverability and sheds unnecessary weight. However, this decision goes directly against the primary purpose of an ADV bike, long-range exploration. Fuel stops can be few and far between when you're off-grid or deep into backcountry terrain. Riders depend on that extended range for confidence, safety, and convenience. By cutting down the tank size, Honda has taken a feature that defined the Africa Twin and weakened it. Unnecessary tech overload, complexity over function. Another area of concern is the overwhelming focus on tech. The 2026 model introduces a bigger touchscreen, integrated voice command system, smartphone connectivity, and several customizable riding modes. While some riders appreciate technological advancements, many feel Honda has gone too far. Early reports describe a clunky, lag-prone user interface that distracts more than it assists, especially during real-world riding conditions. Adventure bikes are supposed to be intuitive, durable, and focused on the ride, not reliant on fragile software and overly complicated controls. In trying to catch up with competitors in tech, Honda may have lost sight of the Africa Twin's true purpose. Heavier than ever, the weight irony. Ironically, while Honda claims to be making the bike leaner and more agile, the actual curb weight of the 2026 Africa Twin has increased. Between the larger infotainment system, added frame reinforcements, and bulkier bodywork, this model is now the heaviest Africa Twin to date. That's a major problem, particularly for off-road riders who depend on nimble handling and manageable weight in tight, technical terrain. The weight gain directly contradicts Honda's marketing message of enhanced performance, and it puts the Africa Twin at a disadvantage compared to lighter competitors in the adventure segment. Ergonomic downgrades, less comfort, more compromise. Another unexpected step backward is the rider comfort and ergonomics. The 2026 seat has a revised Conto and firmer foam which, according to Honda, was designed for long-distance support. But real-world feedback paints a different picture: discomfort after a couple of hours in the saddle, especially on longer rides. Some riders also report that the new seat height options feel less natural and don't accommodate shorter riders as well as the previous version. Combined with changes in handlebar position and foot peg placement, the overall cockpit experience feels less refined, less adaptive, and less comfortable for all-day touring. Wind protection, a mixed result. Wind protection has also seen changes, with a taller, adjustable windscreen introduced for better highway comfort. On paper, this is a welcome update. But in practice, the new screen causes noticeable turbulence and buffeting at higher speeds, especially for taller riders. Instead of delivering smooth airflow, it seems Honda's wind tunnel testing didn't fully translate to real-world riding. For a bike designed to conquer thousands of miles in all conditions, comfort in the saddle, including wind management, is non-negotiable. Unfortunately, the new design just doesn't quite hit the mark. The price tag, no longer the value leader. Then there's the issue of price. The 2026 Honda Africa Twin now pushes into premium territory, with top-spec models costing nearly as much as some of the high-end offerings from BMW and KTM. That wouldn't be a deal-breaker if Honda offered more value in return, but with reduced fuel capacity, heavier weight, unpolished tech, and comfort concerns, riders are starting to ask, what exactly are we paying for? The Africa Twin was once celebrated for delivering adventure performance at a practical, affordable price. Now, many feel it's lost that edge and is simply trying to keep up with brands that have already perfected the high-end ADV formula. Core identity lost, a shift too far? Perhaps the biggest issue isn't a specific feature, but rather the overall shift in philosophy. The Africa Twin was built on simplicity, dependability, and capability. It wasn't about bells and whistles, it was about getting you from one continent to another without breaking down or overcomplicating the ride. The 2026 model, however, feels like a departure from that identity. Honda seems to be following trends rather than leading with purpose. And that has core fans and longtime owners wondering if the Africa Twin is still the same machine they once trusted for real-world adventure. Final thoughts, a wake-up call for Honda? The 2026 Honda Africa Twin is not a failure, but it is a wake-up call. Honda has taken a legendary bike and made it more tech-heavy, more expensive, and less practical for the very riders it was built for. In trying to modernize the Africa Twin, they may have unintentionally dulled its essence. At Bike Review Pro, we hope Honda listens to the community and reflects on what made this model iconic in the first place. Adventure riders want reliability, simplicity, range, and comfort, not overcomplication disguised as innovation. Let's hope the next iteration brings the Africa Twin back to its roots.